So, all right, class, welcome to the Edge series of Sutram Academy, where we'll be discussing about the important editorials and dailies for general studies excellence. And today's date is 27th of March, and the next article that we will be taking today, it belongs to page number 4, and the subject for UPSC is international relations, and this is relevant for all competition exams, starting from UPSC to other state BCS exams as well. And so the news that we are going to talk about is this one: the Jaishankar French counterpart discussion on Iran Hormuz at G7 meet. So you must be aware that as Jaishankar is in France right now, and he is attending the G7's foreign ministers meeting. However, India is not a part of G7. We know that. Still, India has been called to this particular meeting, and the reason is one very important fact that this is the year where India is also hosting the BRICS summit. So India is the hosting country of the BRICS, and BRICS is seen as the counterpart of the G7. All right. So G7 involves major countries like Russia, Europe, European Union, Japan, and other countries. And BRICS is something that we know. It is group of members of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And we have got new members also uh, within this group in 2024 and 2025. So the recent country that joined in 2025 was Indonesia. You must know this, all right? And can you name the countries that joined in 2024? I'll just give a hint about one country, and that country is Iran, all right? So Iran to joined the BRICS summit, and this is why it makes it important for India's presence in the particular G7 summit that is ongoing in France. Where is it going in ongoing in France? So you can remember this name, which is quite weird to pronounce, but I think I may catch it perfectly. Wait, hold on, sorry. So it is known as Abbé de Vaux de Carne. So you can call it Carne, as I think Carne is the name of Cerny or Carne, whatever it is called. So currently, S. Jaishankar is in the city attending the G7 summit. So this visit of EM S. Jaishankar signifies India's status as a key partner. As a key partner country, we need to focus on this particular phrase that India is now a key partner. And earlier, what was India? So India wasn't. India was uh, like India has evolved as a key partner in the matters of you know, global issues that concerns the world. All right, global economic issues, the macroeconomic perspective. So these are the things in which India has evolved now as key partner. And the stand of India certainly remains to be one of the most important in these meetings. So, despite not being a member, India's presence, while simultaneously holding the BRICS presidency, underscores its unique position in the global strategic pentagram. So, the talks centered in the volatile West Asia situation, certainly that is going to be one of the cases, and specifically the maritime security of the Strait of Hormuz, which we know that which has been blocked by Iran. And there is a major escalation in this conflict that the Strait of Hormuz, the particular commander of the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guards is the full form. So this particular, the commander of this particular group, Ali Reza Tangsiri, okay, Ali Reza Tangsiri has been eliminated. All right. So Israel claims that they have eliminated this particular person, and this is a major development in this particular conflict. So, to geopolitical significance, if we understand about the Strait of Hormuz, we know that it is a major choke point for the global energy, and 20% of the world oil passes through it. We have seen this in the previous video as well. So this trigger has happened when this particular person has been killed by Israel. India's stake, if we talk about India's stake as a major energy importer, in any disruption here will lead to domestic inflation of energy securities. We understand that. So the India-France agreement to jointly ensure the security of the Strait of Hormuz reflects a shift from passive observation to active maritime diplomacy. All right. So India and France, they are working on this particular issue, and we also understand this particular thing that India is a bridge between the G7 and the BRICS. All right. So if there has to be a bridge country, that is going to be India. So India is a bridge country for this particular issue as well. So France explicitly mentions of India's BRICS presidency is very significant this year. So India is one of the few nations that is capable of engaging with the G7 West, I mean the Western Bloc G7, while leading BRICS as well. So Jaishankar calls for so okay, these are the things that is currently we understand that G7 and BRICS they need, they work in, if they work in coordination, the world would be much better place. We also see that there has, since as Jaishankar is on a visit to France for this meeting, he has also mentioned some very important thing about the UNSC permanent seat. We know that there are only five member countries that hold the permanent seat. So India has again raised the voice about the permanent seat in the UNSC, United Nations Security Council. So these reforms is something that India always uh, asks for it to happen. So, addressing the global south concern, if you see, India used the G7 platform to highlight cutting threats, cross-cutting threat that disproportionately affect developing nations. Because if we see, food and fertilizer security is something very important for countries in the South Asia. So, Iran and Israel and Russia and Ukraine conflicts, they have disrupted the supply chains very badly. India is positioning itself as the voice of the global south. We know that India maintains a position, and basically we are trying to be the voice of the global south. All right. So it means that if there is any issue in the global southern part of the globe, India is going to be one of is going to be the top voice that is going to stand against and or to talk for that particular issue ongoing. So India is ensuring that it becomes the voice of the global south, and thus we are highlighting the issues that this particular region is facing because of the conflicts going in the Iran and also in the Russia-Ukraine war. And the collaborative efforts to stabilize global markets against that backdrop of this war of Iran, so that the stock market that is majorly impacted, this particular impact is also reduced. All right. Okay, apart from this, what happened in this G7 meeting was that India also held bilateral and bilateral talks with certain countries, like India and France did have a bilateral talk. And apart from that, India also had talks with Canada, and then we had talk with Japan and also South Korea. And certainly, the point of the topic was this particular uh, war and the development of and the diversifying of the Indo-Pacific. We know that how US has recently sank one of the ships of Iran in the Indo-Pacific. So this particular region was in basically in the they did that in the Indian Ocean, but Indo-Pacific is a broader term for in which these countries exist, right? South Korea, Japan, etc. So we understand that this is very important that there is a bilateral meeting with these countries and we come up understanding the issues in this particular region. So if we talk about some factual information, we need to understand that when we are talking about G7, so the countries that are part are USA. We know that UK, France is holding the meeting this year. So France, apart from that, Canada, all right, Japan, okay, then Italy and European Union as well. All right. So this time the meeting that is going on, the foreign ministers meeting that is going on, that is happening in Abbaye de Fox de Cerny. Okay, this is the venue, CERNAY. You can remember this. And the summit is going to happen in June, the main summit in which the world leaders will meet the presidents of these countries, prime ministers of these countries. That will happen in June. And BRICS is also important. The BRICS summit this year, it is going to happen in somewhere in August or September, and India is holding the presidency this year. Okay, India is president for this, and thus this meeting is also going to happen in Delhi. All right. So if you conclude this particular meeting, Jaishankar and the meeting of Bat. Okay, I did not tell you the foreign minister of France. So the foreign minister France is, you can remember his name as Barrett. Okay, that's his surname. So Barrett is his name. So this meeting of S. Jaishankar and Barrett, it confirms that India is no longer just an invitee on a global high tables, but also a shaper of the agenda, because India's presence is meaningful now. So by balancing its interest in the Middle East with its commitment to the G7 and also BRICS, India is practicing a sophisticated form of multi-alignment for India. So whenever there is a question about India's multi-alignment, so you can use this as a very important event, that how India is sitting on the tables with the members of G7 and deciding on how the wars going on in the world is can be influenced, how the current situation in Iran and US war can be influenced, how we can raise voice for the United Nations Security Council seat, the UNSC seat, permanent seat is what I'm talking about. How India wants to be the voice of the global South, all right? How India is raising its voice about the issues this particular region is facing, whether in terms of foods or whether in terms of fertilizers, right? So India's presence is expanding day by day in the role of, when we talk about multi-alignment strategy of India. All right. So for India, if we see that the security of Strait of Hormuz is not just a regional issue, but also a vital national interest, and its collaboration with France serves as a template for future maritime security partnerships. All right. So this is the article that we have considered. And as you can see on the screen, we have a practice question for prelims and as well as mains. So go ahead and write down the correct answer if you know about what I mean from the term strategic autonomy in India's foreign policy implies. You can comment, write that in the comment, and if it is the correct answer, I like the correct answer. And you can write your main answer as well as it is given. That analyze India's role as a bridge between developed and developing worlds in the evolving global order. All right. So this is something that any of the students can write for BPSC or UPSC or any other exams. So this is going to be a good practice for you. All right. So till then, we'll meet in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.